Against the Dark is the worst movie ever. Yeah, I know it's not a video game. This is what I want to talk about. You're just gonna have to deal with it. I like watching movies. I like finding weird movies, indie movies, really bad movies. Kind of similar to how I like to play my video games and explore and find the worst things imaginable. And oh boy, if you want to find a library of some of the worst movies you could ever see, Steven Seagal is a pretty good place to start. Now for you youngins out there, and this kind of included me because I don't know if I've ever actually seen a movie with Steven Seagal in it up until this point, he was a big name actor for like 2 years back in the 80s and early 90s, and he's a legitimate martial artist and black belt in Aikido, which is like a modern style Japanese martial art. You know, he's very talented in that sense. So talented, he allegedly takes it out on stunt people and may have broken Sean Connery's wrist on purpose. Yeah, being a martial artist doesn't make you a good person. Steven Seagal seems like kind of a dick, so I really don't feel bad that his career just completely nosedived and he's now basically relegated to doing these weird off-brand direct-to-video releases, all of which he stars in and is the most badass person in the world. I mean, I say stars in, he doesn't really appear in a lot of scenes, or you can't see his face, so either they're building up to a big reveal, or they just have a stunt double, or he's not on set with the actors half the time, because, I mean, why would he have to do more than one take? He's got Americanos to go sip in his trailer. Could they afford trailers for this movie? Could they afford Americanos? I can afford Americanos. I'm sipping one right now. Ow, that's very hot still. I don't know, I take that back. I feel like Steven Seagal probably doesn't drink coffee. I feel like it's more likely he drinks something like a yerba mate with bourbon. Okay, so back to the movie. This movie is the worst. It makes no sense. Nothing that any of the characters do makes any sense. If the writer, the director, the camera person, or Steven Seagal could do anything that makes sense, they wouldn't be making Against the Dark. This movie simultaneously wants to be a zombie movie, and a Blade ripoff, and a Resident Evil movie, and a vanity project. It's like Steven Seagal and the writer and director all saw these old 1990s to 2000s movies and said, hey, let's do that. Because like all of the camera work and the cuts and everything in it looks like it's from 2002. But even back then, that was a trope, and it was played out. You know, like when you have a fake lightsaber and you swing it around, and with your mouth you have to go zoom, 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 zoom. Yeah, I feel like everybody that did camera work or editing on this video is going swish, swash, during the whole thing. I mean, they get blocking right most of the time. Unless Steven Seagal's supposed to be in the shot, then they hardly ever show his face.
Once the infection hit, there was little time to react. People did what they could, but since no one was immune to the effects of the virus, authorities were ultimately helpless as the infection rapidly spread.
So the movie starts off by explaining that there was a virus that went rampant throughout the world and the USA. Oh God. Oh no.
There was no vaccine. No known reports of individuals being immune.
It's hitting a little too close to home. No. This isn't the coronavirus. This is a vampire zombie virus. I say vampire zombie because I don't think they can decide if they're zombies or vampires. They say they're vampires, but they eat human flesh, which I guess would have blood in it, of course. But usually that's more of a traditionally zombie thing to do. There's no rules that are set up in this movie, which is incredibly frustrating. Some of them act like zombies, other ones act like intelligent vampires, others are just angry, some file their teeth down and replace their gums and teeth with screws, and they see themselves as a superior race. It's honestly just endlessly confusing. You never get a real sense of threat or danger if you don't know what the capabilities and what the rules are in the universe that you're establishing. So, for fun, let's compare this movie to Overlord, for example, which is kinda similar, except, you know, Overlord is a good movie. And I guess spoilers for Overlord, even though this is the genre of the movie more or less. It's a war movie where the soldiers run into giant super Nazi zombies. But the thing about Overlord is that they establish the different rules for why some of the zombies or mutants or whatever they are would be behaving differently or have different quote-unquote power levels because they're failed Nazi experiments. Then when you get to the big boss at the end of the movie, he's the result of them finally perfecting their formula, and then they have big fight. Cool, great. That's easy to digest, it's still batshit insane, it's fine. And the way that that's gradually explained in the movie is a hell of a lot better than just saying, oh, there was a virus, now there's weird vampire zombies. Because we don't know how they act or how they behave, and we're not learning this with the characters as the movie progresses. We're told what universe we're in, so we're supposed to accept everything as if we know it already. Jesus, why am I delving this deep into this plot? Okay, yeah, so let's actually talk about the plot of the movie this time for realsies, and I'll try to be as succinct as possible, because it's a lot of nothing. The plot of the movie is that there's a group of survivors in this hospital that seems to be just endless tunnels. Like, that's all people do is walk down hallways and up and down staircases for the entire movie. There's this group of survivors there, and Steven Seagal is the leader of a group of vampire katana hunters. Only Steven Seagal and this other guy do anything in the whole movie. The girls are just there because they wanted to have two girls and they needed two characters to die later in the movie. Like, for real, Steven Seagal gets like scenes where he chops up a bunch of zombies and looks all cool. Well, he doesn't look cool, but that was the intent. And then this guy actually does all the real action scenes and the talented stuff. I give lots of props to this guy and the other stuntmen in this movie. They did pretty good. They gave it their all, unlike Steven Seagal. That was an unintentional Dr. Seuss rhyme, but let's roll with it. And also, the United States military wants to explode that entire area of the city in the morning because the zombie vampires go out at night, and in the daytime it's like in I Am Legend where they're not outside, so they go back inside, but like there isn't a bunch of them outside and a bunch of them are still inside, and they want to blow it up even with the survivors in to get rid of more of the zombie vampires. But there's also this elite group of zombie vampire murdering assassins, and one of the guys is like, hey, no, don't blow them up, we need this group of Steven Seagal and his friends. But the other military guy is like, no, we gotta blow this up, but we'll wait until morning. And then he wants to blow it up earlier, even though the whole point that they were gonna wait till morning was because then there would be more zombie vampires inside the hospital thing, the tunnels. Seriously, there's so many freaking hallways. I think I made this way more complicated than it really is, because it's honestly just scenes of the survival group walking through a hallway, getting to a place, getting attacked by zombie vampires, and then Steven Seagal and his group also walking through hallways and then attacking the zombie vampires. Okay, so let's back up for a second. So originally I thought I made this mistake, but I went onto Amazon Prime, and this is literally just in the movie. There's like 2 or 3 frames in this scene where it just cuts to a different vampire zombie in a different hallway with different lighting for no reason. I'm serious, it looks like I made an editing glitch in this video, but that wasn't my fault. That's really just in the movie. And it's kind of hilarious to see the survival group have so much trouble dealing with these evil vampire things that want to eat them, and then Steven Seagal just comes along with his sword and just cuts them up like butter, like it's nothing, taking all the tension away, because you know that if Steven Seagal is there, nothing bad's gonna happen. And you realize that the only reason the zombies that are attacking the survival group are there is so they can get cut up by Steven Seagal's group later down the line in the movie. So the movie starts off with this kid running away from a bunch of zombie vampire things, and then Steven Seagal comes in and saves the day, and has the most amazing line delivery.
Let's get this boy out of here, take him to a safe place. We're not here to decide who's right or wrong. We're here to decide who lives and dies.
What the fuck does that even mean? Who are you even talking to? What does that line even have to do with the scene? You're not here to decide who's right or wrong. Okay, I think I figured out what happened in this scene. I think that Steven Seagal was originally supposed to be talking and responding to another one of these guys that takes the kid away, but for whatever reason, maybe their audio didn't work, or they had to cut time even though this movie is like an hour and 31 minutes. They just decided to not include that character's dialogue and have Steven Seagal talking to himself and just saying nonsense. Because you can tell, like, the first part of the line is ADR'd, and then it cuts to a shot of Steven Seagal in what looks like to be a different place than he was before, as if he was responding to somebody. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and meet our main characters for the movie. No, the main character isn't Steven Seagal. We hardly ever see him, unless it's on Russian news propaganda. Oh no. No, these are our stunning main cast. They're totally useless and they just walk around through hallways. Oh, this girl has pneumonia. You can tell because she sniffles. This movie is really weird because it's like they took what would normally be the objectives, the MacGuffin characters in any other movie, and made them the main characters. Like you would expect Steven Seagal and his team of badass assassin vampire hunters to be the main people because they do badass things. They would kill zombie vampires, they would spout awesome one-liners, that sort of thing. But no, it's this random group of completely useless people. And when I say completely useless, I mean completely useless. AKA, they've been surviving this crazy apocalypse scenario without any weapon of any sort. At one point, this lady picks up a weapon, and then she drops it the next scene, and they constantly get attacked by evil vampire zombies. You're in a kitchen, get a knife. You're in a hospital, get a scalpel. Hit them with some slam poetry. I don't care, just do something. Well, this lady's doing something. I don't know, is it a seizure? Oh no, she's having a scary, spooky dream. The point of this scene is that she's scared of being eaten by the zombie vampires. Well, fucking duh. So her and boyfriend guy, they meet the other survivors and they just kinda decide to wander around this hospital together. They all agree to go help the little girl find some medicine for her pneumonia, which means they need to go deeper into the hospital, and that's where all the scary vampire zombies are. And I'll give this movie some credit sometimes for some of the practical effects. Some of them look pretty good. Others look terrible and look like people wearing face paint. But sometimes, you know, it's good stuff. I'm a sucker for practical effects. I love it. But you get stuff like that, and then you get these electrical sound effects.
Blow this place off altogether.
No, that'd be suicide. We can move around outside.
I'm just gonna microwave my Hot Pockets and oh shit, fuck! So they walk around in the hospital until the script tells them they're tired, even though hospitals wouldn't really be that big that you get tired from walking in them, especially since it's been like, I don't know, 10 minutes in the movie time. But it's an excuse for them to get attacked by things. And this is like where I started to get confused about the monsters and their intelligence, because some of them like fall through the ceiling and act like feral animals. But this one had the wherewithal to stand on top of the toilet so they didn't see it initially, and it set up its own little ambush type scenario. I don't know. Anyways, that goes nowhere, and then they just go walk down more hallways. Oh, I forgot to mention it earlier, but why are like half the scenes in this shot with completely different lighting from one take to the next? Like they just go back and forth in the same conversation, but one of the takes looks almost grayscale, and then the other one is like okay lit. It happens in like 6 different scenes in the movie. So they find a cafeteria, and they decide to have like a Thanksgiving meal. You know, instead of finding food and rationing it, or stocking up on supplies, they just lay it out all over the table. What if they have to get up and leave in a hurry, like during a zombie vampire attack? Oh yeah, and this guy got a scratch when he was in the bathroom. Remember how I said that scene doesn't lead to anything? Well, it doesn't, because it's a fake out. Oh look, it's Steven Seagal's lower half. Oh, I can almost see his face. They almost lit him. Oh, he got too close to the camera, so the scene ended. Now we're just in hallways. Okay, this is more like it. Now we're back to the military. There's gonna be some cool stuff going. Wait, that's not the same helicopter. It doesn't even look like the same place. Where did those trees come from? So this is when the plot line of the movie kind of happens, or at least like what's supposed to be the tense plot that builds up as the movie goes. The sergeant, colonel, captain, whatever guy, he wants to blow up the area and sterilize it, in his words, in the morning, because that's when the zombie vampires go inside. And the other guy's like, no, there's people there. They might not be out in the morning when you want to go and sterilize the area by blowing it up. And he's like, I don't really care if they're there. I'm just gonna blow it up anyways. But like, if the zombie vampires go inside during the day, wouldn't you have all day to sterilize and blow up the area? So this is the stupidest plan I've ever heard in my life. So this guy walks into the bathroom and finds Tommy Wiseau.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, that's probably how I'd react too.
Two's great, but three's a crowd.
Yeah, so Tommy just punched him off screen and kidnapped him, then vented because he was the imposter all along. Tommy sus. Then they get attacked by more zombie vampires, and they still have no weapons whatsoever, so all they can do is run away. But it's okay, Steven Seagal and his team of badasses has arrived. Okay, well, the two guys that do something, and the two girls that get no lines in this scene. Oh wow, it turns out the zombie vampires are all of a sudden super weak, and one lady can overpower it without any weapons whatsoever. I guess I was wrong. Jesus Christ, this is the dumbest shit ever. Okay, so this is the scene in the movie that made me the most irrationally angry. Little girl is walking down a hallway after she got separated from the group when they were attacked, and she finds a pillow and a blanket just in the middle of a hallway because the script said there needed to be a pillow and a blanket there. And also because the script says so, she's just gonna fall asleep in the middle of a hallway in a building that's infested with vampire zombies without even checking around her to see if there's a vampire zombie literally 4.5 feet away from her. And then the vampire zombie that sees her doesn't act like any of the other vampire zombies in the movie, and it slowly walks up to her and starts fondling her head for no reason whatsoever. And then the little girl wakes up and the zombie acts in surprise and at no point even tries to attack her. But Steven Seagal comes down the hallway and sees him and slices him up in a POV shot. Also, now we're back to this weird, almost grayscale lighting. What the fuck is up with that? Okay, so dude wakes up in Tommy Wiseau's laboratory, and he's like, I'm gonna feed you to my daughter, who's also an infected vampire zombie, but she's able to rationalize because she's different. She's the next step in human evolution. It's never explained why, or how she's different other than she doesn't immediately eat him. And this is when the movie starts acting like the zombie vampires are superior to humans, or they think they are, and they have like a superior intellect or something, only they don't because they're all stupid. Like usually in these sorts of movies, vampires would think they're superior to people because they've got traits that transcend regular humans. They might be like super smart or super strong or have some crazy invisible ability or be able to turn into bats or something that makes them conceivably better than a regular person. But these ones are either completely mindless or they can be overpowered by one crying lady, and their sole purpose seems to be eating all the people, but they don't realize, even though that some of them are smart, supposedly, that if they eat all the people, there won't be any people left to eat, because they establish in the movie that humanity is like on its last legs and there aren't many people left. So like their focus should conceivably be turning the people into basically cattle and trapping them somewhere so that they have a food source. Because if there's no people, then they're all gonna starve or whatever. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't have them be feral monsters that want to eat everybody with no mindset or grand scheme whatsoever, but then also say that they're superior to human races. That doesn't work.
You must be kidding, aren't you?
Alright, so then these two characters go into this weird basement room that has a bunch of mannequins for some reason? Are we still in a hospital? Why does a hospital have a bunch of random mannequin heads? And then he starts tripping out because I think he like smoked weed earlier in the movie, or maybe that cut he got makes him start doing it. I don't know. So he starts tripping out on some poor editing and these things, and then he gets eaten, and that's the scene.
Who the fuck are you and what do you want?
I'm the motherfucker that's gonna do you what you've been doing to everybody else.
Alright, so I'm like 90% sure that Steven Seagal was not even on set at any point with that guy. He was like, why would I be on set with Tommy Wiseau? I'm a real actor. And then Steven Seagal directs his lady assassin to do the one thing that she gets to do in the movie, and that's kill a small child with a knife. And then it's time for another scene with this lady where she gets chased by a zombie that was hiding in the roof for some reason, and she's terrified of it, even though she just killed one with her bare hands. And again, for no reason at all, this one can all of a sudden talk, and it's pretty articulate.
Us, we think, we talk, we plan. We've evolved. You people are just cattle to us.
Okay, so the problem with this is what I said earlier. If they're claiming that they can think and plan things out and rationalize, they would realize that killing all the humans doesn't make any sense. It's like if pandas got rid of all the bamboo. That's the only thing they eat, so they wouldn't be able to survive. These zombies are stupider than pandas. Okay, so around this part of the movie is when you really start to notice just how little that Steven Seagal was on set with the other actors. Because in most of the shots, they conveniently run out of the way of him, or they go into a different room, or they just don't appear in the shot at all. And most of the time when he kills anything, he just points his gun at it in his shot, and then the other shot is the thing dying. But it still has to be Steven Seagal that kills everything, because God forbid any other character be useful. Then the military decides, fuck it, we're just gonna blow everything up. Screw everybody that's alive. So they scramble all their fighter jets, and they all look different in every single shot because they just use stock footage of random fighter jets. There's admittedly a pretty cool scene with this guy again, where he just like kills a bunch of the vampire zombies, and it's choreographed pretty well and it looks pretty badass. This guy's pretty cool, I like him a lot. After that, Steven Seagal and everybody else are standing in an elevator, then the elevator breaks, so somebody has to go down into the water that's for some reason below the elevator. But surprise, there's a big vampire zombie down there, and it drags him under the water, and we don't see him again, even though the vampire zombie got shot and he was under the water for like 8 seconds? Why didn't you send one of your crazy assassins down there, Steven Seagal? Like 5 seconds later, one of them dies for no reason. You could have just had them die for some sort of reason. Okay, after that, for like 15 minutes, nothing happens at all. Like, honestly, it's just them running away from more zombies and being randomly attacked and then running away again. And then the military just says again that they're gonna blow up the area at sunrise, because we didn't already know that. Okay, so before, when I said that other scene made me the most irrationally angry, I was totally lying and or forgot about this scene that makes me even more irrationally angry, because it's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. So they find that little kid from the start of the movie that Steven Seagal sent off with those no-name guys that he was fake having a conversation with, and they're like, "Hey kid, are you okay?" And the kid just stares at them ominously and doesn't say anything. So they walk up to the kid, and lady is like, "Oh, he's fine, he just looks super pale and looks exactly like that other little girl vampire. I'm just gonna stick my fucking hand in his face." And oh my god, surprise, she got bit and then he ran away. And it's supposed to be a sad moment, but it's the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
You okay? He's not infected.
Both because they genuinely want you to take it seriously, and also because the kid just books it out of there for no reason. Again, going against half the stuff that we know about these vampire zombies. Since when do they run away? Well, apparently they don't always run away, because then the kid attacks them again, and he overpowers both the girl that overpowered the fully grown zombie from earlier, plus this guy with a gun. You see, again, it doesn't make any sense. How did a small child overpower them? So then Steven Seagal has to run in and save them from this small child. So in this scene, Steven Seagal doesn't have his sword anymore, so he can't do those like POV slicing them up shots. So he starts doing like real martial arts, and in reality, martial arts is kind of like what you see. He just kind of uses their own weight against them to throw them away, but it looks incredibly ridiculously stupid. The reason that movies make things look a bit unrealistic is because it's more entertaining to see. So after that, there's a standoff between these two characters, and this lady's turned into a zombie vampire now, and she's like, "Oh, we were all wrong. I feel more alive now than I ever did." And then she got shot in the back, so that's over. So then the remaining characters finally find a way out, then they leave and everything explodes and the movie ends. And the camera crane is blatantly in the last shot as it pans out on the truck. This movie has an estimated budget of $6 million, and it looks like they got most of their props from a Spirit Halloween store. It also only grossed $83,054. Holy shit, dude. The entire movie is super over-reliant on sequences that look like they're from 2001. The editing in particular is almost unbearable at some parts. Like, some of the cuts make zero sense and they take you completely out of the experience in the movie, and they just keep reusing the same shots and intersplice random frames seemingly into the entire thing. This is without a doubt one of the worst edited movies I have ever seen. that wasn't like a home video or extremely low budget. Like I said a couple times earlier, I really like this guy in the movie because he's like a really good stunt person. So I looked him up on IMDb and apparently he's doing like stunt doubling for The Rock now. So good for this guy. He was the best part of the movie by far and I have nothing but respect for him. So he's fucking great. Oh, apparently he's legit just The Rock's cousin. Okay, that makes sense why he's so cool. But yeah, this movie has no comprehensible storyline. No characters, it's just a bunch of scenes of people walking around, and then some really confusing monsters attack them over and over again. Only 2 characters in the movie can do anything to combat these monsters, the other ones just run away in fear. And you've got this Tommy Wiseau guy for no reason in the movie just doing his weird experiments on people and trying to feed them to his daughter. Like aside from that one guy and some of the effects that look okay, there's literally no reason you should ever want to watch this. It's terrible. I think I'm done. I don't think I've got anything else to say. It's gonna be meandering at this point. I'm gonna go get another Americano. Bye!